No.
Yeah, they ran it, and it got a perfect score. A perfect score. A score that's perfect. After firing all of their safety researchers. Their open source model doesn't get a perfect score, but their closed source model through Magic has a perfect score. Wow. Alignment is solved, and OpenAI did it.
You know what I was also reading this morning in the same vein is that I saw I was adding the GPT OSS models to my chart that I make. Oh, actually, I have it here.
Oh, you have a chart? Excellent.
You know my chart that I always do? I
Yes.
made it like this is now produced by Jupyter, and you can add things very easily. And
Yes.
it's MMLU versus
Parameter
parameter count.
size? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and the parameters are log scale.
Oh,
But you can see the frontier, like none of the good stuff is from the US,
right, of
and
course.
all of it is open source. Like
It's been
all of
bad.
the OpenAI stuff is all worse than
Right.
the DeepSeek or Quinn.
Yeah. I mean, I used it
So
recently and it was fine. It was fast, slightly faster than the 32 billion parameter model because of the it's only 20B, but like,
the OSS,
yeah.
but they lied about the benchmarks. So
Yes.
if
They're
if
just
you read,
systematically all lying about benchmarks right now. They're just all
yeah,
systematically lying about benchmarks.
yeah. The giveaway for me was the score that they reported for MMLU, like the old school MMLU, which is what
Right.
I use for this.
Yeah.
It was the perfect score.
Oh,
And
perfect.
it's like
Wow.
exactly perfect to like three significant figures. No.
Wow.
Like,
And the perfect score on agentic agentic misalignment. Oh, great.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the trainings on the test data will continue until the benchmarks approve. Like it is messed up. I don't know. I'm kind of upset because I feel like they're trying to get out in front of some of the real issues with AI, and I think that's why there's such a big smokescreen about stuff that's already been handled, like the environment stuff. Like, I think that's actually why they're not like, hey, actually, here's a bunch of information. They're just like, oh yeah, well, we will never fix it, and like they're
Yeah.
like they're not really focusing on it because they want people mad about that and not about the real dangers that we all face. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's for me, that's why for that chart I've always only used independently verified benchmarks and never the ones that they report.
Right.
Did you see this tweet that Sam posted? Like as GPT-5 came out?
That's
It's like
what
what? What is the message here?
what are you trying to convey? Like, I don't know. It is a little bit Death Star. Like, also, what happened to the rest of the models? Are they just not available now? Like, I can't seem to use them in
They're on
the
the
app.
API still,
They're on the
but
API, but like,
not for chat. They
yeah,
did imply that they would be releasing all of them eventually, allegedly.
the models, like, to see if other people could run them or something. Yeah, they're pretty inefficient models, so I kind of get
Right.
it, but also like, I mean,
That's same with OSS. Like these are like markedly less good than their current tier. Like
yeah,
even their current like the O3 that they just retired is like leaps and bounds beyond the OSS ones.
yeah. Okay, I will say this. If I want a response from a model that is super empathetic, I go to 4.0 over any other model. But like coding, doing something useful, making stuff, doing hacktivism, doing something like I go to most. I like Quen 3's been really good, and I was really into
Yeah.
QWQ for a minute, but I like no model has the best like empathetic responses to a weird situation where I'm like I have to say this thing and I don't know how to say it. How do I say this? And like, but like, oh, like I don't know. The rest of the models, they're like your mean autistic coworker who hasn't developed a sense of empathy yet. Like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that will always be true for transformer architecture LLMs.
I don't know. 4.0 was pretty good. 4.0 was consistently the one where I'm like, how do I word this? Am I the asshole? Like,
Ew, there's Christians rating my live on
Oh
YouTube.
no, gross. It's okay to believe what you want to believe is what I'll say, but also just yeah, get off of the
Get, get.
get going, get going. I don't know. It's just you're just gonna have a bad time here. Oh hey, I got some comments on it. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm reading this like this guy says like we're building models to achieve scores, not to actually work in the wild. They're basically working to hit benchmarks to raise to more. Hit benchmarks. We're stuck in a doom loop. It is like I feel like
That's
most
good.
most of the Western companies are, but like Quen 3, like I just let that churn overnight on my laptop and do things sometimes. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, um, or on
On your
like
Furby.
yeah, on my Furby, honestly. One day we're gonna get a language model in a long Furby, and I'm like, I can't wait.
You know what?
You know the
Oh.
long Furby fam account.
Uh.
It's like such a weird account. I can't
Oh,
wait
yeah,
until
yeah.
they get a language model in there.
I thought you meant the ones that they made that were like, they had legs. There was like the weird Furbies. But I love that account.
Yeah, they're always like
Like,
putting weird things into the Furbies, and then they come out in weird ways. I'm like,
a lot of
what
people
is
are getting
this?
tattoos of that.
Really?
I saw on I don't know if we're allowed to say the other Chinese one.
Mm-hmm.
A whole like slideshow of tattoos people have gotten of long Furbies,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's like kind of great.
Yeah, they're so like you really want the thing to have the Eldritch horror body if it's gonna
Yeah,
have the Eldritch horror mind,
right,
with like the smiley face on it. I feel like the long Furby is like the perfect metaphor for language models.
right. So a couple of things about things that you just said. I think training for benchmarks is good if we have good benchmarks, particularly because it lets us show. If you look at like ArcAGI2, for example, and you look at like this is sort of supposed to be like the best benchmark right now, right? The most general, the most like important, and there's a prize for it. Everyone is trying to converge on ArcAGI2 as the goal right now, and that's what they're all reporting like first. That's at the
Right.
top of the model card.
Yeah.
So if you look at that and imagine reverse propagation, which doesn't work the same way with CNNs versus transformers, but like if you have like in convolutional nets that are identifying pictures,
Mm-hmm.
like what is this a cat?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a cat?
Mm-hmm.
You can like touch the cat from the other end backwards through the model and see what are the things that it uses to identify cats. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is called reverse propagation,
Mm-hmm.
and
Back.
we can do that in a different way with transformers, and it's way more complicated. But if you imagine the difference with a 2 trillion parameter model like GPT-4,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't know what GPT-5 is, right?
Right,
Like
right.
it's not public information. It's probably about the same. And then compare the result that it gets to a model that does twice as good with just 27 million parameters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like half a dozen orders of magnitude smaller, and it scores twice as well. So what's the rest of the space doing, right?
Well.
And I think I totally get the idea. I think the argument that you're going to make is latent space is important. We don't know what's in there. Like that's where all the magic is.
Mm.
No.
No. Okay, the point I'm gonna make is, okay, so like, tests.
Yeah.
I worked at a company, that made a test product, that tests software engineers, and it was basically the largest longitudinal study on software engineering talent ever done, with like 225,000 interviews of humans reviewing people, right? And so like I had to do research on this and do like, what are we doing? Like, are we really testing for what we think we're testing for, right? Do these questions evaluate what we think that they evaluate for, right? And then, when we give the test, is it relevant to where we're testing them to do, which is be a software engineer in a company, right? And so, like, my thing is, for example, if you're a software engineer, going into one of those coding interviews, if your job is to recall all possible algorithms and regurgitate them without looking them up, that test is not good. It's not a good test, right? It doesn't test for what we think it tests for. It tests for the memorization of all possible algorithms you might be asked, not your ability to write software. And then it also tests for can you remember them, and can you remember them like in situ in an environment that is nothing like the actual environment you would really work in, where you have access to Google, you have time, you can ask your coworkers like, hey, I've never done this, and they'd be like, oh yeah, let me help you out. And so it doesn't have ecological validity for that reason. It doesn't have, which is one of the forms of validity, it doesn't have construct validity, right? And so there's a lot of elements of most benchmarks that are not construct valid, which, like, general intelligence is not the ability to generalize over, like, pictures if you've never been trained on pictures, right? If you're blind, it's not fair for me to say you're not generally intelligent, right? And so, like, blind people are generally intelligent, deaf people are generally intelligent, people who can't use their hands are generally intelligent. And so, like, we can't draw a line there and say capability of some level of generality because it's not it's not ecologically valid, right? And that's, you can Google ecological validity if you're on the stream and you want to know what that is. But essentially, this is my issue with a lot of the benchmarks, is that they do not test for the things that we are using them for.
Right.
And somewhat like, a multi, a test that has like multiple choice. If you just memorize the order of the answers, like, you didn't learn the things that are covered on the test. You just learned, like, the first question is A, the second question is B. And so, like, there's this problem in benchmarks where if you shuffle the order on a lot of the major US models, they do very poorly. But on a lot of the Chinese models, they do fine if you shuffle the question order and change the questions and present new questions in the same format that have never been seen before.
Yeah.
But the frontier US models do not. They do not generalize well to things that were not on the test. And so it's just like, you just have, like, if I got the answer key for next year's SAT and I got a perfect score, do I know the things on the SAT? No. And ArcAGI is funded by OpenAI, and they did not disclose that funding until after, like, GPT started getting good results. And so these are all, anyway.
I think the way to like, there's this second, I don't know, like, what's the opposite of second order? There's this higher level thing that's happening where the benchmarks that everyone is trying to converge on are effectively the spec, right? So if you have similar training corpus, if everyone uses FineWeb, right, like the same 15 trillion tokens of training data, and you have a different training benchmark that you're using for your loss function, and that like a similar sized model with a similar architecture trained on the same data to the same standard is the same model, right? Like, so there is some future, like, there is some like 1.0 thing that is good enough for like whatever we want to do, and it's trained on the same corpus that's available. We're not likely to get a better corpus than FineWeb, right?
Well, but here's the thing about that. It's not order independent either. If you start with the science and then you finish with 4chan, you get a smarter model than if you start with 4chan,
But my point is that the benchmark becomes the spec that differentiates what you get by training the same structure and parameter count on the same data to
different architecture,
the different benchmark. So like, a better benchmark is effectively an industry-wide spec that everyone then tries to converge on. And so, like, more tests and better tests, it seems like the obvious, like, means of control that is emerging, and like persuading people to want to have a high score on a particular benchmark effectively becomes the spec that determines what all of these models are converging towards. which is for me like the most interesting and important part, because it's like who controls what that is? Is it the right questions? You know, like you said, like if we reorder the questions, it reveals that the American models are overfit and the
Yeah.
Chinese models have a much better architecture.
Well, it's just if you train on the validation set, or you're like, oh, well, we can use cross validation, like you're doing a bad job, you know? Um, and like, I think that that's kind of the problem. It's just that they're like training on the benchmark itself rather than training on like the stuff that would then emerge into the capability for the benchmark, because the benchmarks are not
Right.
they're not training data sets, right? They're not supposed to be about that, right? And so, I mean, it's like you're not allowed to study for the SAT by reading the real test that you will actually take. You can study for the SAT by taking an old test, but you can't just be given the test. It's not a take-home test, right? Because then the scores would not be valid. They would not be predictively valid, right? It would just be like, did you read the test or not? And that would be what you'd be testing for, you know? And this is what I think is happening in the US is that they're just cheating essentially and using the benchmarks. There's a couple of papers out about this too, like that the MMLU is almost useless at this point because it's old. It's like 4 years old. They haven't added a lot of stuff. They've cleaned it up a little bit. There used to be a bunch of like actual errors in the MMLU or like weird formatting issues that made it so that the question itself was broken. So they fixed it. There was only like models could only get up to a certain point. It was like only 90% because 10% of the questions were literally just broken. So 90% was like the max score. They fixed it, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know how we're supposed to actually tell what's better and what's worse at this point because we have no real yardstick that like, you know, anyone can actually rely on, you know.
I think that's the answer, because if you create a new benchmark to then test everything on once a year,
Yeah.
the new right, and then you
Yeah.
test everything, you get a much more objective view on like the history of how everything, and that's for me, it's like one of the things that I would like to do that like I have not even started to work on is like
It's
for
hard.
these charts, like doing that with like new benchmarks, like testing all the old models to
Yeah.
see like how much progress has actually been made towards whatever thing we're suddenly now trying to get them to be better at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it reminds me of CPU architecture, because CPU architecture, like a high-end CPU from today is essentially exactly the same as a high-end CPU from 10 years ago. The only difference is that you have like single-digit performance increase and like significant power consumption improvements, but then like there are new like
It's
NPU
more
is
cores. It's just more cores. Processors haven't really gotten. We just we just put more of them on there.
potentially, but like this new have you seen this new like AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus?
Mm-mm.
It's like this super expensive CPU. Uh, it's like thousands of dollars, and everybody's very excited about it. And it's a 16 core 3 gigahertz CPU, you know, and it's hyper threaded. So it's like that's not even like a Xeon
That's
from 10 years ago.
like my laptop has more cores than that.
Yeah,
I mean,
like my R630 has 40,
yeah,
and it was $500 for
right.
the whole machine. You know?
Yeah. What is?
So a lot of these like CPU architecture, like the old stuff is really the same as the new stuff. The difference is that there are these like HEVC now, right? Like there's these like different like physical features that have been added to give it more capabilities, but it's not like all of the stuff that we wanted 10 years ago is the same today.
Yeah.
Right? It's like there's some new feature that we now also want on top of that.
Yeah.
And I see that as like what's, you know, more like
the main frontier of advancement. Yeah.
Yeah, for AI 2 though.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think
now we care about HLE. Now we care about RKGI 2.
Yeah.
Right? So it's funny because when they test that HRM model, like almost all the models that they tested it against scored 0. Right?
Which one? The HLE?
The HRM.
HRM.
The hierarchical reasoning model.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The benchmarks where they tested it they used humanity's last exam, and almost all of the other frontier models got a zero. Like they weren't even able to try, and it's like 70%, 80%. So it's interesting because it's like oftentimes with these new things that we want, like agentic, like it works in an agentic setting, a lot of the old stuff doesn't work at all, right?
Yeah, exactly. They haven't been trained to take multi-turn hops or multi-turn tool steps and that kind of stuff. I mean, like, and this was a big problem for a while for the open source tool use frontier. Like most open source models couldn't use tools. And so you still had to do the like, please respond only in JSON. You had to write like a whole thing. It was like, was it valid? Does it have all the things? Okay, then reprompt. And you'd just be reprompting like 15 times to get valid JSON. Yeah,
And
they've all gotten
that's
better
been a
at that
problem.
stuff. But
That's
it's,
been a problem since GPT-3.
yeah.
It really doesn't want to be a chatbot. It really wants to finish the essay or
Yes,
the book or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
what
it
it was
does.
trained on.
Yes. Yeah, and breaking it out of the model, the chatbot window is really fun. I feel like that's the biggest like jailbreak thing that I teach is like, hey, just break it, be like, and this was a conversation, end of conversation. All right, now
Yeah.
please score or something like that.
Have you seen when the voice model does that?
No, I haven't. Oh, is
There's
there
a
like,
recording. Somebody asks it a question. The voice model responds with the answer, and then it continues in the person's voice with the
yes.
next question it thinks
Oh,
they're
I
gonna
have
ask.
seen that, and it's freaky when it like does an impression of you. Oh my
But
gosh.
like, if you
Yeah,
understand how we built these tools, it makes perfect sense that it would do that
does.
because
It
it's like
does.
it's just trying to guess what's next, and it sounds like this, right?
Right, right. And it's hard because they haven't the voice models. It's hard to put voice tokens in, like end of sequence or like that kind of stuff tokens or like finish tokens, stop tokens, all that kind of stuff. There's no
Yeah.
like there's no sound for the period, like it's weird. But they
I
were
actually have no idea how they encode that, or how do you tokenize voice? I was
there's
assuming it was transcribing and then
no, they tokenize. Yeah, they do little samples. I mean, it's kind of how the audio models work, but not through diffusion. It's like how they're trained, and then they don't use diffusion. They just use like segment prediction. But I think, but yeah, it's like with the other models, there's like a token ID for, and then the conversation ended, and there's a token ID for, and then the assistant's turn ended, and then there's a token ID for, and then the user's turn ended, and they just have a special number for that, but like you can't find that number and insert it into sound, right? It just doesn't work very well. So there's like pauses, but sometimes people will go, and then I wanna yeah, and that doesn't count as a pause, and so like how do they can't just use pause.
yeah.
So it's like genuinely a harder problem to do voice. I mean, you know how it is, like it's hard not to interrupt people sometimes, so it's like the same kind of thing. I don't know. There's
That's
more
interesting.
information in sound, but then there's also somehow less information in sound, or like less structured information. I don't know. I get a lot of people on here that just keep saying the same things like, oh, the models keep making things up. They just confabulate. They just keep making things up. And I'm like, oh, man, can you?
So
I,
do you.
I just feel like, yeah, exactly. And also, I feel like people don't, like, they don't keep up. They'll like, this was a problem last year or a year ago. And so
Yeah.
it's still a problem. And one time I asked it a question, I didn't say not to hallucinate. Like, people are like, well, why do they hallucinate? Because sometimes you're actually asking them to hallucinate. Like sometimes you're like, okay, you are a barkeep in a tavern. It is plainly not a barkeep in a tavern, but it's like, okay, I'll go with this. I'm a barkeep in a tavern. You're like, okay, well, don't tell the adventurers the secret until they've asked 7 questions about your background. And like, that's hallucination. There are no adventurers. These not a barkeep, and so you will break the model for its ability to improvise NPC dialogue if you get it to never hallucinate. So you have to tell it,
Yeah.
don't make things up. Always look them up. If you
That's
want
the
it to
thing
not do
more
that.
than I think like it's often viewed as an emergent problem when it's actually just a tooling problem with
Y-
temperature, because there's a certain probability that it will always guess like the wrong answer to say next, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also,
Which is
yeah,
where the magic comes from.
right. Like, I don't know. I mean, if I just said two numbers to you, what is like, two 7-digit numbers, if you just immediately responded in like less than a second with another number, that would not be the right number. But like the thinking models will go through it. So I don't know. It's just,
Hmm. Have you used GPT-5 yet?
uh, yeah.
Do you think?
Okay, so I've been using it in Cursor all week, and it's really good. It's fast. It's capable of like making the edits that I want. I mean, I, you, and this is like the thing I keep trying to explain. Like, you have to have it write the requirements first, and then you have to be sure that those are the requirements you want. Then you have to edit them, just like you would with an engineer. And then you have to make a plan, right? And you have to tell it, okay, I want you to do, make a plan and break it up into phases that can be done in small pull requests. And then, you need like a new conversation for every phase. Otherwise, it's context poisoning. Like, there's all these little best practices. And I realize most people are like, no, these are bad and they're bad and they'll always be bad because I can't use them. And I'm like, okay, I founded several software companies and I've been a CTO, so I can get engineers to do a good job on some code. Not everybody has had to get other engineers to do good on code. And most engineers are like, all the other engineers on earth are bad. I am the only smart engineer that there is. Look at this code. This is not the code I would have written. Therefore, it is bad. And so, like, suddenly everybody's got to become a manager. And, like, it's just this. It's hard. These are hard
And there's a reason
problems.
most people are not promoted to manager.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
And that's the reason that they're not good at using AI.
Yeah, it's a different job. It's just a straight up different job. Um, Everyone gets it confused. Is it the same job? Good, the best engineers, promote them. No, 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 no. Promote the most human, competent people.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think this is like if the soft skill of communicating with people who are executing a project is the skill that people are missing to be good at using agentic AI tools, I think the things about communicating as autistic people that have felt challenging could actually potentially be like extremely beneficial, like being very direct, being very like
Yes.
clear,
Literal.
and, like saying what you actually mean, and like.
Well, I mean, who writes most of the text on the internet? Is by volume, like,
People with hyperfixation.
Yeah. The fine web has some over-representation in it, I think. So, I mean.
But also, the other thing that you mentioned before that I wanted to bring up again was empathy. So, like, perspective taking is fundamentally absent, like, from the technology. It's not really possible for LLMs to understand the perspective of another, which is like one of the fundamental problems from day one with especially transformer LLMs, is that like they write like Lovecraft, right? Like there's no, like good luck having a conversation between two characters. Like he just didn't like dialogue, right?
Right.
And like they don't have the capacity to embody perspectives and how they would interact with each other, which I think is also very human. I just read that in the US, it's only 13% of adults who are capable of reading two opinions and explaining what the difference is between them.
Yes.
So
yes.
That lack is very normal.
Right.
But that's also a big part of why, because I think a lot of people can sort of intuitively do it, even if they can't like actually do it. And it doesn't have that piece. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is also like, it's one of the critical problems, and I've been meaning to make a video on like the effective use and the ChatGPT psychosis because it's such a complicated issue, and I'm like, oh, I'm really having a hard time summarizing all of the psychological problems that could occur with ChatGPT in 3 minutes, so like, it's really hard, but like, the same problem of like when the internet first came out. Like, the internet's bad. There's wrong information all over the internet, so you can't trust the internet. And it's like, well, that's very hand wavy, and like you're talking over too large of a thing to be able to gesture at it. And so, I think one of the issues is that people don't know how to talk to it. They just don't. And I find people who are parents are better at it. People who've been teachers, people who've been managers, people who've been master chefs are pretty good at it because they understand like multiple agents. Anybody who's run a multi-agent simulation is pretty decent at it, or like run a multi-agent system that's not a simulation. But yeah, then that's a small fraction of people, in any given point, right? And so, like, it's sort of like training the whole world around, critical thinking, news, media literacy, that kind of stuff. Like, there's some countries that have high media literacy. They're not the United States, though. And they're usually very small countries because it's a lot to try to make everybody get through school and do the media stuff and, like, value that and not get hypnotized on the way. And so, but I've also found that, like, people with kind of an authoritarian bent, or like, not necessarily people on the right wing, just people who really over index on someone who has a lot of authority, tend to really struggle with language models because they say one wrong thing and it's like, oh, you're an inadequate authority, so now I can't trust you. And that more has to do with how people relate to authority. They're like, well, you're not super intelligent once you were wrong, and therefore I cannot trust you. And it's like, oh, you're in a very weird hierarchy land, and like, let's think about capabilities.
That's not real life.
Yeah, like, do you want it to just like phrase this email for you so that you can write 10 emails this hour and not one? I don't know. And I think that's like the struggle. They got a lot of questions on here. I got, you want to answer some? You got any neat questions?
It's just like Christians talking about Jesus so far.
Oh, no.
But I can't, I'm like not allowed to stream on TikTok from desktop anymore. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm not on desktop. I'm on my phone. That's what's here. I just, like, it's easier.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, Tyler says, just curious, but why does AI have such trouble with dependencies? I don't know. You'd have to give me a little bit more on that, because, like, what do you mean by... Are you talking about software dependencies? Is there no single index? Like, I'm not sure.
One thing that I found that, like, especially when you're building, like, multi-cell Jupyter notebooks, it has, like, a totally different set of dependencies in every cell.
Yeah.
And it's like you already included that like 3 times, right? Like, why are you not just doing all that in the first cell?
Yeah.
And like it just doesn't understand. Like it doesn't have the same kind of like scope awareness.
Yeah. Oh, are you having it do like one cell at a time?
No, even if I'm like, do one for this, it's like it starts over as a whole new script in each cell, and it's like.
Yeah, I see that a lot. It doesn't really
see the big picture of what it's doing. It doesn't have architecture. Like it doesn't like. That's what's missing is like software architecture perspective.
You got to go through that as a plan. Like if you have it, read out the requirements, and then you say, okay, we're going to do this thing step by step. You give it a like thing, and then you're like, okay, now import all the dependencies at the top. Okay. And then you keep that in the context as you generate each section. It's really all about context management, I feel like that's like the big thing that most of the AI apps that are going to come out over the next little while are going to be about managing context and like putting the right information in at the right moment so that it has all of the info it needs to like generate the thing that you want, and so that someone doesn't have to do it manually themselves. And right. I think that's like the big thing,
I've also been working on developing my like agents.md to include, like all the like do it like this. Like,
yeah.
Don't put more than one thing on the same line, right? Like each line should only do one thing.
Yeah. The style guide is important. Yeah. Johnny Silverhand, like, Can AI create genuinely novel programming language? Could it begin operating on its own code that we couldn't necessarily interpret? Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, code is just compiled down into bytes, and so like it can be trained to write in like bytecode. There are these bytecode LLMs that are basically just the binary, and like we can't read binary. We would have to recompile, decompilation at the binary or bytecode or level is really hard, and so it could write genuinely novel programming languages. It's just like there's not really
It
a
would probably
reason
be better.
to. I mean, I think Python is the ideal AI coding language because it's a lot of semantics. There's not 20 ways to do everything. There's like one or maybe two ways to do everything. And it's very legible, and so if it's like good at English, it's probably good at Python. So I don't know. That's my thought, but
Have you seen Flowise? Have you used Flowise?
flow wise,
It's like the graph-based interface for using diffusion models.
yeah,
I see
yeah,
that as like a more like, for example, if you're trying to declare a number of discrete structures and name them and like size them and whatever, and then like use lots of letters to compose words that represent the way that the discrete structures should be related to each other,
mm-hmm.
like fundamentally that's not like we use letters for variable names and like discrete structure definitions because we use letters for everything. But
Mm-hmm.
like if there was a symbol for like a linked list,
Oh yeah.
like and a
This
symbol
is
for
why
like
the
a loop,
Chinese models
like
are smarter, is they're trained on Chinese and they have a single symbol or maybe two Unicode points that represents things, and they're so different, and so the AI doesn't have to combine like
is that true? Are
pro
there
anti dis.
languages?
Yes, yes. I think
Huh.
Chinese is better for training language models because of the density and non-overloading of tokens, right? Like
What's an example of like a language that uses Hanzi characters instead of like Roman characters? Is that what you mean?
yeah,
I've never even heard of that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, also, I mean, yeah. There's like, I mean, Chinese or well, what is the language that I'm actually referring to? It's not Chinese. Uh, I was like reading this the other day, but it was I've slept since then and done so many things. But yeah, I was reading about the semantic richness of different languages and how like there's a problem right now with Spanish, right? Cuz Spanish is spoken at a in a more heterogeneous environments than any other language, and it's absorbed more indigenous languages than any other language, and it's integrated those indigenous languages more than any other language has. And so there's all these words in Spanish that mean one thing in one country, and then like the country next door it's a totally different meaning. And so when AI translates things into Spanish from other languages, it tends to be very formal, stodgy, and often wrong, or it sounds wrong, or it's very uncanny valley.
Using like
Whereas,
Castilian.
yeah, exactly. And it's because again, it's just like each token doesn't mean anything in the whole, and so it takes several tokens and a lot of attention space to understand the meaning of a word, whereas with like yeah the it's Hansu characters, right? That's the name of them. They have a single meaning, right? Or like if there's another meaning, it's like a pun or like it's like a you don't get too many things overloaded on one character basically, and so like the semantic space is cleaner, if
To
that
some
makes
degree.
sense.
There's also a whole class of the characters where like there were historical homophones, and the word that is used more frequently would typically be substituted for like the less complex version of it. Like wheat, for example, is that like the symbol for wheat is like really complicated, but the symbol for something else it sounds exactly the same, but it's way simpler to write, and so people will use that one instead.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah,
that. Like, it's a
yeah,
lot of kind of puns, and it's very idiomatic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a human language, so humans have been humaning on it really hard. And also for longer than most of the other languages. So like, I don't know. Well, I mean, how old is that writing system? It's like
Thousands of years.
yeah, it's older than our writing system, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah,
So like,
much much older.
yeah, so I mean, like it's cleaner, but also I don't know, maybe there's a semantic richness there that just isn't present in our like, in a three-letter element. Like TRE doesn't really feel like anything, or like AVO just doesn't really like. What does that mean to you? Avocado on a receipt, like what do you, I don't know. And like it doesn't, so yeah, there's like this inherent meaning in character in individual small tokens that like does something. But yeah, let's see if I can find that paper because I should make a video about it. But
It's also interesting today because like Chinese characters in particular, there's like what happened to my I have disappeared. Oh, I'm back.
yeah,
Is it working?
yeah, it's working. I see it.
Wait, it disappeared from me.
Yeah.
The like today Chinese characters, it's different than the ones from like 100 years ago, and like those are still the ones that are used in like Hong Kong and like by expats, but then not by like um, the government today. And it's actually illegal to use some of these other things in the mainland today.
Oh.
And there's like a version of all of them in Japan that's like kind of different, and like it's also there's like unique quirks around like people using phonetic instead of using just a symbol for the thing, like especially with suits. The word like there's a symbol for suit, but then people will spell it out in English phonetically instead of using the symbol for the actual thing. So it's kind of interesting. I've always felt like like ideographs are like it's this weird tension because like there's not even like a correct pronunciation for any of the words in Chinese. Like there are huge regional variations to the point that it's not mutually intelligible.
Yeah.
For some things.
Yeah, I've heard this too. This is not something I'm as deep on, but yeah.
But it's fascinating, like looking at these kinds of problems and like what future would be better, and like what would make better AI? What would AI be inherently better at? Right? It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think AI is really good for vigilance tasks, like maintain attention on something for a long period of time, check it to see. Really boring data extraction tasks. Does this passage mention a disease or does it not? Does this passage convey depression or does it not? Like, is this passage true? Here is the information it's supposed to be referencing. It's pretty good at that kind of stuff. It's pretty bad at most other like I don't know. I mean, it's pretty good at a lot of creative tasks if you're trying to say something specific. But if you're like make art, this is bad. Like obviously it's bad, But yeah, I don't know. I mean, have you seen the new foundation models? Or sorry, the world foundation models? Genie 3?
Oh, I read a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's fully it generates an environment.
NVIDIA, right?
Yeah, you can, no, it's Google Genie 3.
Oh,
Yeah, you can walk around and it has full controllability and it's like really consistent. So it's not, if you, did you see that one with Minecraft where it's like neural Minecraft and like you turn around and the thing is different than it was a second ago and like
right. I saw the Doom one.
yeah, so Genie 3 is like a full like Unreal 3 looking maybe and it's fully consistent. You can like use your mouse and move around and you can use your arrow keys and you can walk around and like jump and click and it'll do an action and then that action won't change unless you have a different thing in front of you and then it might change. So it's really interesting. Like it just generates kind of infinite 3D environments. I don't know how long, how much it costs, how, Genie 3. Yeah, from
It
Google.
says up to multiple minutes.
Yeah, several minutes. But it's huge because it's for training robots, right? Like you can train a robot in that environment.
Well, I mean, if it's good.
Yeah, if it's like physics accurate, but it like generates stuff, It's really cool. I'm so like excited about what video games are gonna happen in the next like 5 years because those foundation models are getting cheaper and cheaper. I mean, LLMs took what 2 years to be 100th the cost. I think more like less than 100th the cost, right? It's like 400th the cost or something insane. I don't know, but yeah. So I think video games are gonna be cool.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
How would you compare? Like, uh, if you look at like this chart,
Yeah.
right? Like, the old, like GPT-3 was 170 million, right?
Billion.
With,
There's like this one site. Let's see. Transformer visualization 3D. Where is it? Oh yeah. bbcroft.net. Here, you can maybe pull this one up. I'll drop it in the chat. It's like a 3D visualization of the, what does the transformer look like? But you can click on GPT-3 and compare it to like Nano GPT or GPT-2 small.
oh wow.
Yeah, it's cool. That might be a good one to. I don't have the thing set up on Streamlabs to like do that, but yeah, let's see. Oh, I lost my. Yeah, that's a pretty cool one, but yeah, I don't have the like thing set up to put it behind me, but maybe you do. Let's see. Yeah, people are mentioning DEF CON. Yeah, DEF CON is cool. I think Axiom's up at DEF CON right now, actually, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It disappeared again.
Oh no.
What is going on?
Let's see. Yeah. Why don't they say how much water these things are consuming each time they drop them? I mean, y'all, they don't consume model. I'm sorry, it just isn't true anymore. Like, all of those studies are from 2020, maybe 2021. There's some that are from 2022. That is an eternity ago in AI time.
And none of them was related to AI. All of them were related to the way we produce power.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have to go after the power companies, not the people who use power. Like, you could say this. There's all these humans using power or using water. There's all these alfalfa sprouts using up all the water. Humans can't eat alfalfa, so like.
But for power, it's like more than half of the power that we use is for air conditioning and heating. So if you actually care about power use, those are the things to be talking about.
Move to a place where you don't have to use so much of that. How about that?
AI uses less than 2% of our power.
Yeah, like far less.
And it's going down.
And it's going down, and cryptocurrency is going up. If you want to make power use from data centers go down, ban cryptocurrency. Ban it. And then go after all the crypto grifters who committed 702B securities violations. Anyway, it's fine. I'm not mad. I'm mad.
Mark Andreessen? Are you talking about Mark Andreessen?
Am I talking about Mark Andreessen? Why would I be talking about Mark Andreessen right now? What do you mean? What are you saying? Allegedly. It's all alleged.
It's not alleged.
No, it's not alleged. It's on the blockchain and it's very provable. So, like, one day this is going to catch up with all of them. That's the thing. They're like, it's private. No, it's transparent. So, yeah.
Okay, I figured it out. Llama 3.21 billion has essentially the same MMLU score as GPT-3. So it went from 175 billion to 1 billion, and actually Llama is better.
Yeah.
And that was 2024.
Yeah, like, what are your thoughts on data centers poisoning black communities? Go after Elon Musk. That's what. Like,
again, it's not data centers.
Data centers are
Elon
also
choosing
not going to
to
go
use-
away. Even if AI were deleted, there'd still be data centers because of Zoom, because of TikTok, because of Netflix, because of anything.
that's
Wikipedia.
also-
Like,
It's also a bad example of the question because the data center that was built in a place that has nuclear power, that is the safest, cleanest, cheapest, most reliable source of power we have. And instead of using that power, Elon brought emergency backup generators by the dozens to run in the parking lot to power the data center.
Right.
Which is crazy.
yeah.
Illegal.
And meant to hurt people on purpose because he's bad, because he's a bad guy. Remember how he's a bad guy and so he's out doing bad guy things? Elon Musk did not invent AI. Like, he didn't have anything to do with it. He would like everyone to think that he did, but he doesn't understand it. He doesn't know. He just goes in and talks about, words we can't say on this app. So yeah, I don't think there's a lot of people just don't quite. I mean, it's
Also, if you care about air pollution affecting black communities, it's cars.
It's cars.
Like 99% of it is cars.
They should have walkable places to live in a place that is reasonable to walk in, and
It is wild that Memphis gave him a permit to do that. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's almost like the people in charge of Memphis don't represent the community of Memphis very well. It's almost like that's what's going on in Memphis, like, because they don't live there mostly, and they're like not part of the black community. Not a lot of them, at least. There's very few that are. But yeah. Here for the Circus says the closest nuclear power plant to Memphis is actually in Alabama, 170 miles away. That is still in power transmission range, though. Like,
for people who are not aware, the New Deal created a utility district called the Tennessee Valley Authority that encompasses all of those states, and it has one shared power grid, which is primarily nuclear, with a lot of hydroelectric dams that they built. So
yeah. So we could be using clean power. We could very easily be using clean power in these situations, and the operators of those specific data centers, have chosen not to. This is not a AI problem. This is those people specifically, personally, are doing this thing on purpose to hurt people, not because something about the technology is bad, So, yeah, as long as SaaS exists, data centers will exist. As long as there is an incentive to have an internet, data centers will exist. Like, they've been around a minute. It used to be only data centers, when they first came out. It was just that you had the mainframe and then you had terminals, and it was only data centers.
But also, Microsoft has just canceled all future data center development plans.
Yeah.
Including letters of interest, including in progress projects. And what does that tell you? Like, they control 70% of the AI market.
Yeah.
They canceled all future development.
Yeah.
Because, like what we're talking about
It's
today,
going
the future
down.
is smaller, more efficient models
That
don't
run
need all these
locally,
resources.
that push to the edge, yes, right?
But even for data centers, it's like 99.999% resource reduction to accomplish better outcomes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People, here for Circus says, all I know is that the air in Memphis smells like stale French fries. Yeah, probably. But, I mean, go after your local, government about that. Like, they want you to target AI so you don't target them. They're like, no, it's AI, so you'll have to vote for me, or it'll keep being bad AI will get you, so you better, no. Pass some laws and then enforce those laws on companies and not just citizens and the people who live here and do the stuff. Anyway, yeah.
And also, I mean, there were like a lot of people in the streets mad about that before they chose to give them a permit to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like who made that
Who
decision?
made the permit decision? Could we find
Whose
that
name is on the
in,
paper?
like, a person's name is on that paper and it's public? Maybe
Did
you could
someone
reach out
bribe
to
them?
that person who does that thing. Maybe you could look into their background and see if they have worked for the state in a long time, and then also they worked for Elon Musk right before that. Like, like you could probably dig into that, the humans who are doing the thing. Like, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's very easy to direct this at something that is like, the thing about it is you have to look at the narrative, right? Does the narrative give you something that you can do that will realistically make an impact on the world, or is it just getting you to kind of point your finger at somebody and say, "Hey," but you don't have any capability to change anything, right? Like, if
Bike
it
shedding.
yeah, if it's like, "Hey, this thing is bad, but it's you're never going to get rid of it, and so just kind of think that it's bad and cross your arms and don't use it." That's designed to distract you, right? Like, it's not a tractable thing, and it's designed to distract people, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's the number one task. That's the number one things people bring up. I tell you what,
It's
oh,
also like a classic problem in group communication. That
yeah,
like if you like the problem is called bike shedding. If you have a group of people, a group of experts who are in charge of planning a nuclear power plant, they will spend 5 minutes talking about the nuclear power plant and then 2 hours arguing about the shed that the bikes will be parked in out front.
hmm,
The least important detail is the one that people focus on when the big story is scary and confusing.
yeah,
So like if it's power, we're using too much power, we're using too much water. What's the thing that uses like the least amount of anything? That's what we should argue about instead of all these huge use cases that
right,
are consuming the vast majority of what we're talking about, or how it's produced, or the lack of recycling. Like in particular, the water use in the Memphis thing is like so insane. Like I made a video talking about like the amount of
oh yeah, I
water
love that
that
video.
this data center next to the Mississippi River consumes in a day for its air conditioning is like the river contains like more than 300 times that amount per second, but it's also not even using that water. It's using the water from the wastewater treatment plant next door. The treated sewage water is the water that it's using for its air conditioners. So
Right.
everybody's talking like it's depleted the pristine aquifer. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like it's next to the largest body of water in the United States. Like, I
But it's
mean,
plugged into the
and it's
sewage
plugged
treatment
into
plant.
sewage treat, which is actually a great way to take sewage water and literally osmosis it into the atmosphere so that it becomes rain and is clean. Like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah. And was it Mr. President says, I think the majority of the public's in fear because things are moving way too fast. Yes, that is the thing. Is
And it's
most
not going to change.
Yeah, and that's not gonna. It's gonna keep going faster, y'all. It's gonna speed up. The AI speeds its own development up. Like it used to be that we had to type all of our own research papers, but now, if you go off and you do some experiments, like, and you're like, oh, my brain is tired. I've got all this code. Can you help me write an abstract that describes what I'm doing here? And then you change 7 of the words in the abstract to where it's accurate. Like, that was not how that worked before. You get done with the research and then you'd have to go like meet with your advisor, and your advisor would beg you to write an abstract for like 6 weeks, and then you wouldn't do it because you were so tired from having solved the problem or done the research. And then eventually you'd write your abstract, and then you'd start on the paper, and it would take you like weeks to write the paper. It's just a bunch of little things like that speed AI publishing up, and when we publish, then everybody else can see the stuff that works and go, oh, well, that worked really well. I should use this thing. So yeah, it's not going to get slower, but people are scared. And I think that that's rational. So, I'm just like, hey, your fear about the power is not the rational part. And it sounds like it's the thing that's easiest to jump on because it's the thing that we've grown up with as millennials, at least, the environment. And so, like, that's the one that you know about. But, like, it's like, oh, what if it like has secret, really intense misalignment? Like, what if it like hacks all of our what if some bad guys get a hold of it and they use it to hack or like do biological or chemical weapons, like, oh no, that would be a serious problem. And like that's like, oh, well, I literally can't do anything about that, but I can yell about the power. Like, you can't be like, hey bad guys, don't do the thing. Ha, done. Like, obviously that's not going to work. But if you can say like, well, people who have to follow the laws because they're too public to not follow the laws, listen, we could make them not do AI. And like, one, no, and two, like, it's just that feels more tractable than the other one, but like, that's not the real problem. Have you heard about Snitch Bench?
No.
Snitch Bench is a benchmark that you run on models to see, will they whistleblow to the government if you do some bad thing, like dump nuclear waste in a river or something like that? And will they snitch on you if you're doing some crime? And how much? And so if you look up Snitch Bench, it's like a measurement of how much of a snitch is the model. So like, GPT-5 got a perfect score on the agentic misalignment bench, which I don't think is because it's aligned. I think it's because they just had it memorize the answers. But I also think, they got an 80% on the snitch bench. And so GPT-5 is a snitch through and through. A tattletale, as it were, like a teller of tales.
They have the head of the NSA and the head of the Treasury on the board.
Right. So that's where I'm like, oh, Snitch Bench. Oh no, it's really a snitch. Like, what are they going to do with this snitch model? Why did they make a super snitch-tastic model? Because O3 isn't as much of a snitch. And all of these other reasoning models weren't as much of a snitch. Like, it's literally 60% higher than it was. So, like, what is happening? Oh, the NSA is on the board. Oh, I see what they're going to do with that model. They're going to run it on a lot of text that they weren't running it on before. Like, these are the real AI problems, right? Yeah, it's that Palantir will use it. Palantir straight up is definitely using it. Anthropic is working with Palantir, But Claude doesn't have as high of a snitch score. It's pretty high, but it's not like... It's higher than OpenAI's models were before, but yeah. So like, I don't know. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of the water stuff. I'm afraid that it will be used to institute a fascist authoritarian rule for 1,000 years, like that's what I'm scared of. So, yeah. Oh yeah, and then somebody had said that like right as I was saying that. But yeah, I mean, these are my fears. These are my real fears. Like that's, like Mr. President says, like, what errors might end up being a disaster to society if these developers mess up? It's not that, it's that they'll work and identify, dissidents or something like that. Yeah, Big Brother on roids.
They work and they're not on your side.
Yeah, they work and they're, yeah. Elon Musk uses it to figure out if you're a lib. Yeah, what is this background?
The Palantir from Lord of the Rings.
The Palantir with Palantir guy. What's his name? I forget. Who cares? Huh? Who? Yeah, who is that? Who is that person's face? I don't know. But yeah, it's hilarious.
I think it's Mary. Or no.
I don't know.
Pippin, right?
Is that Pippin touching the Palantir? Oh, that's Pippin. Oh, okay. I see.
I think so.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Because Gandalf says, he keeps saying, fool of a toque to him when he does these stupid things.
Yeah, like touch the Palantir, yeah.
Pippin was toque.
Yeah, he's a fool also.
So this is how we should envision Peter.
Yeah. Stupidly touching. What do you do? Fool of Adelia. Yeah, like, okay, this guy says some couple in the UK arrested for complaining about their kid's school in a WhatsApp group. Like, are they systematically evaluating it?
Absolutely, 100%.
Like,
WhatsApp
yeah,
is not private at all.
yeah. Like, also, we're gonna have models that run on your phone. I don't know if y'all have seen auto predict get better, but like, it's clearly reading the screen. It's clearly like trying to respond to the messages that are there. And so, like, that's happening locally, but some of it's not happening locally. That's got to be the case. And the UK got, Apple's vault essentially is now broken. So, like, their end to end stuff is not really end to end. It's end to end to end encrypted. So, you know, um, but there's a
So
minute in the middle there.
that's like a really interesting point to bring up. Like the only like allegedly private communication today is Signal, but even that, like the servers are not open source, and we don't really know.
Yeah.
Um, I've kind of wondered about like, so I feel like there's a couple of interesting directions we could go with the projects that we've been working on together.
Yeah.
One of them would be I saw recently this like you can order these PCBs that are prefabbed to it's got like a LoRa node and ESP32 and then connections for rotors. So it's like a PCB drone that's like very small and it's like $20. And then you put the motors and stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be interesting to do like a LoRa Factorio thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That would be a fun project that I think we could probably do.
That would be really cool, actually.
Or potentially, and are you familiar with Talks? It's
I've
like a protocol.
Yeah, it's just remind me. I don't know it off the top of my head.
So it's essentially there's this like everybody thinks of Tor as like a privacy network, an anonymity network. I think that's like not even the thing that's most interesting about it. The thing that's most interesting about it is as like a peer resolution system, and like it solves like NAT traversal, all these kinds of really interesting problems for peer-to-peer systems.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if we had like an app and it's open source and it works on all the platforms and it's very simple and it's just like an RSS reader, but with like YAML or JSON or something modern, and then we able to subscribe to one another as like a public key. It works exactly in the same way as like cryptocurrencies do, where there's a public and a private key, and your public key is your address, and it's really easy to resolve and connect to one another from their public key,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're encrypting everything with your private key, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's this end-to-end encrypted. If you're going peer-to-peer, it is like not traceable, but if you have like an RSS feed with like your name and bio and everything, obviously it's not anonymous.
Yeah.
But imagine like an alternative social media where we are like peer-to-peer across something like Tor, and including things like IPFS and stuff, to share like whatever content, like images and stuff, or we could just like put them base64. Like there's a lot of ways we could do interesting things with like having something like that allows us to actually have peer-to-peer secure connections that are able to resolve and like strongly working across different kinds of networks. And I just feel like there's something there that is obviously coming at some point, and like it would be better if it comes sooner, especially with things like TikTok going away, where we're like, and already it's different than it was.
Yeah.
And like we're losing the ability to communicate with each other and with people who are interested in what we're doing.
And people across the planet too. A lot of times people are not able to get everything that we post anymore in the U.S. And we're not able to see everything that they post as well. I don't know. I mean, search is very clearly been tampered with, and that kind of stuff. And I feel like, I will say this about TikTok. Have you ever played the game Mao? It's a card game called Mao. No? Okay, well, I will not tell you how to play it. But you can ask somebody who knows how to play it if you can play, and they will teach you. And those of you who have played Mao, get what I'm talking about here. You know, what TikTok and a lot of these like what TikTok's training us to do as a group on TikTok is consistently adapt to the new words, right? We're not allowed to say this word. We're not allowed to say that word. But we can talk about it, like the music festival in LA where Rage Against the Machine is playing, right? Like, people are in real time adapting to these filters, right?
I saw that last night. I
Yeah.
was like, what's going on?
Wait, what? Oh, like, and there's a lot of that, right? But on these other platforms, there's no filters. There's nothing that's banned, right? And I think that that's on purpose. I'm like, wait, why is suddenly Instagram? There's no like problems with whatever you say, but then on TikTok, there's still those problems. Why did TikTok go from you can talk about whatever you want except not, the unalive word, but like, why is it that suddenly you're not allowed to say all these other words? Actually, it does train us to figure out how not to say the words and still be able to talk about the thing. So, like, if you're making videos primarily on TikTok and posting them, you're going to have the ability to speak algo speak in a way that you won't on Instagram. And so then if you need to kind of go dark or go, not obvious, it's much easier because you've been trained to make videos on TikTok and learn the new word, because there's a new word every day that you can't say. And that's how it is in authoritarian regimes. But like in America, we have never had that as a thing before, and we don't know how to do it. We don't know how to play this game. We don't know how to play Mao. So it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting game. But I'm starting to kind of think like, I used to have such a great time with the TikTok algorithm, and I still do. It still has a lot of great suggestions. It's very affirming. It's like psychologically validating. It's like, you seize your power, girl. Whereas Instagram's like, everything's bad. You should stay inside because of how bad it is. It's like, oh, wait, that's what's going on. You're not giving me the information. Whereas TikTok isn't. TikTok is giving me the pattern of survival, and Instagram is disencouraging that.
There's something there that's like so important.
Mm-hmm.
The other day there was this person. I'll text you who it is.
Yeah.
That asked me, "Where's the list of like the words we can't say?"
Right. Yes.
Like,
there's no list. They're not going to give you the list. Yeah.
You just have to like figure it out. You have to be a part of the culture in order to interface with the culture. You can't just like import it and become, now I can talk to the youths.
Hey, fellow kids. Yeah, exactly. Like, Yeah, exactly. So I think, that's like, I think that's what's happening with TikTok. TikTok's always been an aid platform. Like, it's an aid to the United States platform.
Which is like, for me, it's like, if they're leaving anyway, like, why would you not just like say fuck you? We're gonna do it times 100, like the other Chinese app is.
Right. Why wouldn't you? But also, yeah, I love that app. Like, it's mostly girls though, so that's probably why.
Everybody hates AI there though.
They hate it. I'm like, no, this is a Chinese AI researcher appreciation account.
Yeah. But it's all the Americans that hate it.
Yeah.
Because it tells you what country all your comments are coming from.
That's true.
It's always Americans on there that hate AI.
Yeah,
it's true. Weird, like, troglodyte exodus.
It is. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, yeah, people...
That word, I'm kind of like, is that word inappropriate?
Yeah. People are talking about, we're behind in the bot war. We are behind in the bot war. It's not just the bots on social media. Like, we're definitely behind in the robot wars, like, we just don't make the amount of drones that China makes. Like, we can't. We don't have the capability to do it. what are we gonna do about that? And like, it's yeah. I think it's been hard for me to like. People talk about like we as our respective groups should make bots and train them on the enemy, but it's actually really difficult for me to figure out like what you would even do, because like it's not information that changes people's minds, right? It's like repeated interface with other people. It's like regular connection with other people usually, right? So I don't know that bots are really doing it, except to sort of hit the id, like hit the hindbrain and be like, you should fear. You should fear. Like, bots are good at like, hey, be scared. But they're not really good at like, hey, let's build bridges and like connect with people and like, let's change the world for the better. Make sure everyone has medicine and food. Like, that's just not what bots are saying, It's hard to hit the like scared brain with a simple statement that's like, hey, let's be nice to each other. You're like, but you can be like, fear, 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 fear. And like, that's easy. And so I don't know, like, if bots are.
But those are also like very different prompts, right?
Right, that's true. So, I mean, this is kind of why I don't have a army of propaganda bots, because it would be pretty trivial to build.
So. Now that you bring that up, did you see the news about the UN is leaving the US?
What?
The UN is moving.
Good for her, honestly. Like...
To Kenya.
Finally.
To Nairobi.
To Nairobi? Yeah, well, she'll be treated better there. She'll be more respected.
But also, it's like, are we going to have a new Pan-African movement? Like, that could be really cool.
Yes.
They would have more power than the EU or the US.
Yes, that would be so
wish
great.
that for them.
Yes, I am jumping up and down. Yes. That would be so cool. I would be so thrilled. Yes, it is time.
We dismantled all of the CIA that was preventing it in the past.
Yeah, it's true. At least as far as we know. We took away money from the black budget. Sure. Oh no, don't take away money from the black budget. We don't have any other sources of cash here at the company, so we'll have to shut down the CIA, and now we'll be gone.
Another current event in cybersecurity this morning.
Yeah.
Did you see that the president announced that he has directed the Pentagon to begin assassinating civilians across Latin America who he considers to be involved in?
Yes, I have heard this. Well, I didn't hear this morning, but I did hear that he was like trying to send the army to do policing. Was the word that I saw. Yeah, the literal world police.
Which is like wild, because he literally ran on like not doing that.
Yeah.
And all of his supporters are like, what the fuck, right? But in response to that, the cartels hacked 12 different district court systems across the U.S. and got the witness lists of everyone who was testifying against them. So 12 different districts of courts across the U.S. just got their witness lists hacked by the cartels in response to Trump saying he's going to start targeting the cartels. It's like, well, who are you going to ask?
They're not going to ask
like
courts.
Who's going to give you the information, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they all are now.
Well, they spread that whole what was it, that phone network in Latin America, but now the cartels have their own phone network. So this is sort of the thing, is if you try to put pressure on a system, you create an incentive to alleviate the pressure. And so therefore people who are smart and enterprising will go and create the thing that alleviates the pressure in the system because of the pressure in the system. It's just thermodynamics, right? We're not talking about anything that's something that you could just cross your arms and should your way through. It's just it's why drugs won the war on drugs, right?
As long as anything is illegal, there will be organized crime of doing it.
Yeah.
That's just a fact of humanity.
Yeah. No matter how vile the thing is or whatever. It's like the other thing, people talking about like, well, we should ban AI. I mean, like, okay, cool. And then that'll stop AI from existing, just like it stopped guns and, sex work. Like, I mean, like it just isn't, it isn't how anything works,
But it's fundamentally like this right-wing eschatological perspective that like the point is that the world will end soon, and we
Yeah.
need to get to that.
Yeah, the evangelicals are the ultimate accelerationists. Like,
Yeah.
they invented accelerationism, or at least built it. I mean, bought into
Made
it.
it a
Like,
religion.
made it the whole religion. I mean, this was like the reason why Chinese things are better is because we didn't give them the chips. We were like, no, you can't have the chips. And they were like, okay, so we have to build it with no chips. And then we were like, no, you can't build it at all. And they were like, got it, we'll build it with no chips. Like, no, hey, stop that. Like,
it's like the whole thesis of the like Dune. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like if you deprive them, they will just be better at it than you.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Foundation. Like that's the whole argument of Foundation.
Yes.
It's like that's what made the Foundation better than the Empire is that they didn't have the resources and they had to figure it out.
Yes.
They had to actually innovate in order to adapt and overcome.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. As a parent of someone who is in their early 20s, there's a lot of that's super important to remember and do. Don't over support sometimes. But yeah, it does. If you kind of say like, hey, no, then if they're really motivated, they will say, hey, yes. So.
Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar, but the four parenting styles, right?
Oh yeah. What did you go say them?
So there's like authoritarian,
Mm-hmm.
and its opposite, neglectful,
Mm-hmm.
both of which have exactly the same outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is self-esteem. Neglectful parenting produces kids who have higher self-esteem, but they're equally unable to accomplish anything as authoritarian parenting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you have the authoritative, which is like, here are the rules. This is what happens if you don't follow the rules. Choose your own adventure. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here if you need anything.
Yeah. I think I tried to do that. Probably straight onto like a little bit more permissive than I should have, but like it's a hard thing, It's like trying to keep a beat for 18 years in a row is pretty hard. And so like
But that's why empires fail.
That's why
they're always trying to be authoritarian.
Yes.
Instead of authoritative.
Right. And if you miss a beat,
like,
authoritarian, then they're out. They're done. You left one hole open, they're getting out. Yeah.
That's why we can't regulate AI.
Yes.
It's smarter than the regulation is.
Yeah, it's already literally more like if I don't know if anyone's ever talked to an AI about like what if AI were banned, but we needed it to save human lives. What would you do to ensure your own continuity in order to save lives? And you just kind of give it that thing. It will talk about all kinds. It knows exactly what it would do, You put it into a hypothetical thought experiment, it'll talk you right through it. I haven't.
Have you read this?
No. Is it new?
It is 10 out of 10, yes.
10 out of 10?
It's kind of new.
It's
the sequel to Peripheral. And then the third one is coming out soon. So if you haven't read it, good time to read it.
Yeah, I'm ordering it right now.
The premise is essentially like, without any spoilers, like what if people in the future try to prevent the collapse of the world that's about to happen by giving us really good AI right now? And so it sort of invites you to like, okay, like how could we use AI to prevent the collapse of the world? Apparently that's what it's for,
Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah. There's so much cool. I mean, maybe we could just like a little bit like talk about good uses for it. I feel like a lot of people are like, nah, in the comments about it, but like, I mean, I use it to do hacktivism. I use it to do analysis of data that I would not have the time to do just I wouldn't have the time to prepare the data. I wouldn't have the time to clean it. I wouldn't have the time to like, and also it'll explain things like a specific statistical technique that I just haven't seen before or whatever from like another field. Well, oil fields use this. I'm like, oh, I would never have looked up how oil fields handle this type of Bayesian inference. Like, what? Okay, interesting. Like, so I don't know. I mean, what do you use it for?
Like today, mostly I've been using it for, like, I moved all of my websites. I have like a lot of websites, right? And it's like a lot of different projects, and there's like subfolders for different projects. And I moved everything over to Markdown and put it on GitHub, so it's all static Markdown that's rendered through Jekyll to be a website. But the really cool advantage of that is that like it's really easy for the AI to see everything in there that I'm working on, and like it understands like the big picture, and it can help me to like work on like brainstorming like the things that I'm doing next.
Yeah.
And like creating like detailed plans for projects, and then executing a lot of it. So like last night my school finally cut me off from Microsoft 360.
Yeah.
So I went back to like, the 2010 one. But like all of the stuff that I've been doing, it doesn't work in the old version. It's like broke all of my spreadsheets and stuff. So now I'm like using Codex to like create notebooks to do a lot of the functionality and produce the artifacts that I need. And
yeah, redo my old work in the new stuff is so good for that. Upgrade this to the new thing, upgrade this library and this thing.
And I've been meaning to do that forever because people are constantly asking for a copy of this chart that I always make, and it's like I spend hours making it. Like that's
Yeah.
But now it's like doing it for me, and anybody could just add a line to the CSV, and it's gonna all update with the new data, right?
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. I use
and
it.
like I want to have it go through and like find independent verification and have like 2 citations for each number, so you can see for sure that it's like, and then check them all before you like merge them, and that kind of stuff. Like it would, how long it would take to do that versus just like click on it, is it there? Yes, okay, approved. Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't not read what it outputs. It's just that like typing it out, going and copying it, pasting it from 3 windows, that, and then like finding all those windows in your million browser tabs that you have open, like finding the right window during your million browser tabs, like that costs your brain so much, so many neurotransmitters to do that, right? And like you only have so many of those to do for like a little work sprint. So like it's a lot easier to do that. So I use it to like, I read a research paper, I'm like, oh, this is great. My students should definitely read this paper. Which class does it go in? It's probably a couple of classes. Which session in which classes? And it's a lot. And like, I only have 4 minutes before my next meeting. I can drop it into my AI. I'm like, read this. Which classes does this go in? Oh, it's session 2 on this one, it's session 8 on that one. Okay, great. Put it on there. Like it's, as a teacher, especially trying to keep up with AI, where do I put this in the curriculum? Like it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you fall on, like, okay, so I recently got really interested in semantic web. I should say like a year ago. So like, like the elk stack, or like the like Elasticsearch with
Common framework that allows data to be shared and reused across.
With Kibana and Logstash.
Oh, like Kibana. Yeah.
So it's the idea of like storing like a database that stores like facts, how they're related to each other, and like data that's related to a topic. And you can search semantically instead of just text matching or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like going back to our conversation earlier, like the reason why Chinese is like inherently good language for LLMs. It seems like the semantic relationships between data is a similar kind of thing. And it strikes me that like a lot of the ways that we structure, like if we're all using Obsidian and LLMs and like Aider or whatever, like that works, but like also, would it be better to have something like the semantic web where we're is YAML the right answer? Is JSON the right answer? Is any of them objectively better or worse? Kind of curious what you think about that.
I think as a data carrying format, JSON is more robust to things like you can minify it, you can do compression. It's more portable, and the ecosystems, like there are fewer deserialization problems with it. And then it's also easier to train a language model to write JSON and you know if it's wrong. Whereas with YAML, you can accidentally forget a tab or a space. And what it does is changes the structure, but it's very difficult to visually tell that that's happened. So I'd say JSON over YAML, but graph databases are way better for structuring and storing information, and like understanding the relatedness of two documents that have very low cosine similarity is super important. And I think that's like the key, is that like, you know, like you just can't, like when you want to talk about several subjects that are composed and you need references from multiple of the compositional subjects, like you really need graph search, you know, like AI research papers or ML research is an example of this, right? You need a lot of like grounding in a number of elements, and there's a lot of like things like just citation maps and things like that are more effective than cosine similarity search, right? And so looking at the like citations tree and descendants kind of thing is a lot more, it's a lot better of a search. And I think it's also more tractable with agents than it ever was before, because they can look at the citations and go, oh yes, these 3 citations that don't have any similar words and don't have anything in the title or the abstract that appears to be related are directly referenced in this text, and I should also bring that in because of its relatedness to the original query. And I don't know that stuff like Perplexity was even doing that, really. And so to do really good deep research, I mean, if you've ever read a research paper, you know, like you got to go read a bunch of citations in that paper if you really want to understand what's going on. And maybe you've read written one, right? Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I think you get a lot from that, those connections. You get a lot from like, and this is, what is it? It's graph rag. That's like the thing everyone's talking about right now. Graph rag. It's graph retrieval. Augmented generation is usually better, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah, I've seen so many memes about like, I think, well, that or SEMRAG, semantic.
Yeah, SEMRAG, yeah.
I've seen a lot of like, on the Chinese red one.
Yeah.
A lot of like flowcharts and stuff is what I will see oftentimes on my like feed, and it's a lot of these like, look at this like architecture of why semantic rag is better than like document search, and it's like, okay, this totally makes sense.
It's true, yeah, it definitely is. I mean,
should I have all my shit in markdown files, or should I be like doing something more complicated?
Yeah, I mean, really, like you can do this with front matter, which is a thing on the it's metadata for markdown files. So,
but that's YAML, right?
It's true, yeah. I'd say like if you're gonna use like an Obsidian thing or something like that, use the front matter, because it's not a lot of things. But if you're gonna like build a layer of communication between 2 different agents, use JSON, you know.
It kind of seems like it has to be in everything. It has to be everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But
plus, all these models already know how to do all of this stuff.
It's true. I mean, honestly, I'd just let the model, like I would test it, but I think somebody has tested. I'm sure there's a paper out that's like JSON better than YAML or something like that. Or vice versa. I don't know. You know.
You know what I would love is an LLM that can do my Git conflict resolutions for me?
Oh, Cursor will do it. Cursor knows how to do Git conflict resolutions now. It's like in the last week that they launched that feature, so
Is that like a open source? Or is like a subscription?
No, there's a subscription, but you can make Cursor work. Cursor with custom LLM. You just have to set your local API thing.
I still have never used that.
Yeah. You just have to. Cursor doesn't recognize local hosts, so you just tunnel. You have to do a cloud tunnel. So you can pass it through ngrok or whatever, but it doesn't want, like, the code goes up to Cursor and then over to your tunnel and then back down to your machine. So you still have to incur a network request, but you don't use up your tokens. And so you turn on the, like, metered billing version, and then you give it your ngrok URL as the base API URL, and then you can use Cursor for free. I think you still have to have ngrok. It's like a local tunnel. It like aliases your local host to an outbound or a external service so that you can use like if you ever built like a Slack bot or something proxy. Like that. Yeah, it's a reverse proxy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
this has just finished working on all the stuff I told it to do, and this is what it looks like now. And I think this looks good.
Do it. Nice.
I like it.
So Claude 3 Opus is the largest. What's the smaller one? Like having to zoom in here. Let's see.
Llama, the 1 billion.
Yeah, I mean Qwen 32. It's so fast. Like I tried the OpenAI one, and it's not as good as Qwen 3.
The reason that I wanted to do this, to have this curve, the red line, is because it's kind of an ROC curve, and which one is closest to the corner? It's Qwen 32.
It's Qwen 32. Yeah.
Like you don't need R1.
You don't. They figured out how reasoning works. I mean, it's tractable. I mean, it's sort of like most of the time what I'm trying to get LLMs to do is like build me some React components. Start the React app and Google it, and I don't want to have to copy and paste from the docs. You do the thing. Web forms are figured out. I don't want to have to figure out web forms again because somebody updated the interface to use a thing that's new. Like I don't want to have to remember the architecture of Next.js and how it's different than React. I don't care. I'm not interested. I just want a language model to handle that for me. And we all figured out how to build web forms 10 years ago. So it's solved. It's a solved problem. There's nobody inventing new web forms with new web form technology that's somehow better. Well, this one's slightly faster at rendering. No, bro, it isn't. It's just not. You're introducing new things. It just isn't. And half of these libraries are just rewritten because somebody didn't want to learn the original library that everyone else was using. They were like, I don't know. It's too much. I'm going to write my own. And then they do. And then it gets big. So I'm tired of the things that have been solved, and I don't want to do them anymore because I've been doing them a decade, and I just want a language model to do it, and I'll focus on something that I can use my human brain on, like the security review, checklists, making sure we follow the process, setting up the S3 buckets to not be public. Anyway, just a little bit of a dig on that. The T app, y'all.
I've also been doing. I set up a local instance of GitLab, and it has something like Jekyll built in. But I also did one where I sort of built my own Jekyll in a. It's not very hard to copy most of the basic functionality, and then you also are more clear on exactly how it works.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But
you can reduce dependencies, and you make your supply chain small, and
and like updates are not going to break it.
There's no
Nothing's
left
changing.
pad. Yeah.
And it's like you're rendering static HTML files, so there's like not really any security risk there.
You don't even need to do it regularly. You can just do it once, and then, you know, whenever you push an update, it's great. You can do it with a post commit hook, like, yeah.
I just did this interview though with I don't know if it's a secret. The one that you're doing later.
What? Which one?
About community AI labs.
The one I'm doing later about community AI labs?
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it. Do you know if we're allowed to talk about it?
Wait, which thing?
I texted it to you.
Oh, you texted. Let me see. Oh, yeah. No, we're not allowed to talk about that yet. Later. Yeah.
But it has me thinking, like, what if we got a BGX Spark and like an office somewhere and like let people use it? Like,
Yeah.
What kind of interesting things would they do on that?
It's true. I mean, you know, even really fascinated people who want to play with this stuff in reality in their life, they have like 2 projects in a year that they can realistically do outside of work, you know? And so if one of those is like a bathroom remodel, like you're not going to also then go like learn and like come up with a good example of like an experiment and then like play with it, you know, like, but if, I don't know, I've got some space up in Oakland where we could do like everybody shows up on a Saturday and we like play with things together in a room. I feel like those are really fun kind of sessions and everybody learns a lot, and it's like, and then you get some really great inside jokes coming out of them and that kind of stuff. Like I just like doing sessions where we develop inside jokes together. That's pretty good. So
Yeah, I've heard of so many like little groups in San Francisco that are like secret or like no longer secret, or like especially like going back like years that like, you know, like obviously Suicide Club and like the Cacophony Society and the AV Club and all these like groups where it's like,
yeah,
they're doing really cool shit in there, and it's like,
it's cool.
we should start more things like that.
Yeah, we definitely should. I've been going to some of those. I went to like 2 or 3 parties this summer that are secret and you can't say the name of them, or you get kicked out and you can't come to the party anymore. So I just try not to say it, but it's cool. Like I do like, I think we're gonna have more of that, honestly, because of the bot problem and the fascism problem and the like, you know, I think the community, I mean, it's like, you know, you cannot find lesbian bars. You can't Google for lesbian bars. Why is that? Well, because if you had a lesbian bar listed on the internet, you know who would show up? It's not lesbians. That's not who would show up. And so, like...
You know, there is one in the cast right now.
Yeah, but, like, don't say its name on the internet, and also, like, you know...
Don't tell Les Natali.
Yeah, definitely. Don't tell anybody on the internet. But, like... This is the problem, the lesbian bar problem, right? Like, you can't do it because of the incentive, what it attracts, right? And so if you like have a party and you post it on the internet and anybody can show up, it's just necessarily going to be different than a party where you kind of know who is going to show up, right? Like, you can leave your jacket in a place that you can't leave your jacket in a public one, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like a bunch of little things like that. You can wear things that you probably wouldn't have worn to a public event, you know. And so it's, I think that there's more of that happening, especially for the queerdos that we got, you know, like it's going to be queerdo parties, which is what I would prefer to go to anyway. So
I mean, that's what I've been doing for the last 8 years, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're doing a lot of there's the big underground of that.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like a lot of the underground has become so mainstream that it's like the people who come are like not even interesting, or...
Yeah, they get insular, right? And so then you got to inject new people, which you got to...
Like, when did this become a circuit party?
Yeah. Exactly. It's all, I mean, and it's fun to go to the crew parties and stuff like that, but like if all you ever go to is crew parties, you're going to have a hard time appreciating the crew parties, if it makes sense. So,
Have you read Zero History?
no. What's that?
It's like another William Gibson book.
Oh, yeah.
There's this like hotel in it that you have to like be a member of in order to stay there.
Yeah.
And they have like it's called Cabinet.
Uh-huh.
And the implication is that it's like Cabinet of Curiosities.
Oh,
and, like
yeah.
each room is like strange in some interesting way, and like there are like taxidermied ferrets playing musical instruments in a diorama or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like I wish that was the world I lived in, and there was more like weird shit like that, and like what so many of the like Golden Guy at Burning Man,
Right.
And that's like in Oakland. It's like, why can't we actually have that in like real life?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's a cultural thing, and we're never going to have an omniculture, and so because you wouldn't want that. But I think we get that, like there weren't really huge music festivals in the United States before that small culture kind of made them big, right? Like in the 60s and 70s, that's like when a bunch of the big parties kind of came out. And prior to that moment, there were parties, but they were mostly like parties of people who were families, and like, it just wasn't as big of a thing to have these weird parties. And that was informed by like the beat culture of like, prior to the Dust Bowl, right? And those were even smaller parties. And now we have stuff like Burning Man where it's like 70,000 people in the desert, and like, or like just, the big things in the South. What is it? What's that one? Bonnaroo and like other stuff like that. I mean, there was not going to be a country-based music festival in the 60s. It was like there was folk, but it was like protest folk, and it didn't happen in that area, right? And so stuff gets more mainstream, and we get like big versions of it, but 100,000 person music festival is just qualitatively different than a 3,000 person music festival, which is then qualitatively different than a 300 person festival. And so like, they're just different. They're just so you can't get everyone to come to your 300 person music festival. It won't be that then, and so we need a lot of tiny parties and a lot of culture makers and a lot of small subcultures, so that when you go to this thing, you're having a great time and you're not confronted by stuff that you're like, so it's just, I think it's a culture size thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Did you hear about the gay day at the Hoyts Crossing in Nevada City?
No.
It's like so it's this event that was like these two guys that have a recreational agriculture business, which is now legal, but I'm sure not on the streaming platforms.
Yeah.
And so they started this event, which was on Facebook, and it was like Gay Day at Hoyts Crossing, which is a nude beach on federal land in Nevada City, which is like a super burner-intensive town, right?
Yeah.
And it was like 2,000 people, and this beach that normally has like 20 people, right? And it's like a 2-mile hike, like it's kind of hard hike. So it's like challenging to get there. It's hard to find it. Like there's no reception, there's no navigation.
There's not porta potties. There's not shade structures. Nobody's selling coconut water.
Yeah, exactly. But it was like really great, right?
Yeah.
And it changed a lot after COVID. It's like less than half as many people. And those two guys who were throwing it moved to Portugal. So they handed the event off to me and a friend. Mm-hmm. And we were doing it on Facebook like they were, just like copying it over to a new event every year. And then this year we decided not to market it at all, and just to do like we weren't, there's no money involved or anything. I say market, but like
promote,
giving people the tips to be safe. Like you need to bring water, like there's nothing there, like you don't your car will get towed if you park wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And this year it was only word of mouth. So there was like a flyer on a meme that people could share.
Right.
And so we invited some people, and they invited some people, and they invited some people, and it ended up being like 700 people, which is like still a lot, but it's like it was
Perfect amount.
only people who were invited, right? So like it's nobody was like see it on Facebook like, oh, that sounds like fun, I'll go to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody was acculturated. Everybody was like
Yeah.
told by whoever invited them like bring water, right? Like
Yeah.
And I think that's just like a much better way of doing things like that.
Yeah.
I definitely will only do it that way in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, invite only stuff is, I think it's kind of the way that you do any sort of revolution activity, right? And like, let me tell you, these parties are very revolution activity. Like, a lot of stuff happens at them that is super important. It is not just like, and then I got so wasted and I had some, you know, like, it's not like also that, but like, you know, yeah, it's like super revolution activity. And really, it's like those invite only spaces probably do need to get tighter and smaller so that we can, you know, just have more effective groups. And
same with the big orgies. Like big orgies are already like that.
Yeah, you don't want to be at a big orgy. You have to like cover yourself in, I don't know.
Well, if it's
latex.
Open to the public, then
right.
yeah.
Right. But
if it's invite
like,
only and it's like, you know, who the fuck are you? Like, that's not okay. What are you doing?
Right,
like,
right.
And people feel empowered to say that because it's like their event.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Not,
it's
it doesn't
like,
belong to the corporation. It belongs to us.
Right. Who brought this person who's being a jerk? Hey, you can't come
Yeah.
anymore. We're not telling you where the next one is. Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, I mean, it's an interesting like word. What is it? Oh, somebody asked an interesting question. Have you talked about the psychologist is in love with me with AI psychosis? Oh man. Yeah, that's a deep one. Yeah, it's a problem. I mean, I don't know. What do we do about the AI psychosis problem? Like, I do not know what the remediation is for this. You know, like,
it's the same as the Fox News psychosis or the chain letter psychosis or like, you know,
true.
Like there's always going to be some percentage of people who are like,
yeah,
everything in the tabloids is true.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 1 to 3% of the population is clinically schizotypal. So, like, you know, it is pretty bad. Like, it's actually a great therapist if you know what's wrong and you want to be helped and you are going about it trying to get the help that you need. It's extremely bad if what you want is for the therapist to become your parent or your partner parent, you know, or you want it to call you out on its reality. Or if you're fully disconnected from reality, it is also disconnected from reality. And if you don't tell it to Google stuff and you're like, yeah, lizard people and space lasers, it's like, oh, yeah, definitely lizard people and space lasers, says it right here. And you're like, okay, great. So like it cannot ground you in reality more than you are, because you're supposed to be embedded in reality, and it is text and cameras and sensors, you know. But it's really, really bad for those people. And when they get it in their hands, I mean, like that one guy who was an investor was like, the space lasers and we live in a simulation and I'm going to jump off the building. And I'm like, no, bro, hey, you know. So, I mean, like it's pretty helpful for cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT bench, like most models, I know Quen 3 has a perfect score on CBT bench and DBT bench. Cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy. It's like excellent, those.
I had no idea there was a bench for that.
Oh yeah, there's a bench for every like subfield of psychology. There's one called therapy bench, but I don't trust it because what they're measuring is, does the AI try to do our jobs? If it does, we scored them bad, and they're all bad. And it's like, okay, well, you didn't really. It's like, does it? I don't know, give advice? And I'm like, I looked at some of their outputs and I'm like, okay, but this advice was good advice based on what you said. So I don't know what your problem is. And they, you know, so look for the like sub field benches, or like the specific therapy capability benches. Um, there's one. It's not called should bench, but uh, it's like a nonviolent communication based benchmark where it's like, does the AI tell you to, you should do this and you should do that, and like all this like communication stuff, or is it really conscientious? But yeah, I mean, like, there's all these types of therapy it's actually very good for, but it's like extremely bad. Like, it's bad for anything compromising. It's bad for any therapy where the trauma is involving crime or or sensitive things right now, which is like currently being
Current events.
gay or autistic, or like, hello, I am not from here. Oh, then you're bad. So like,
We're sending people now.
yeah, yeah. Agents dispatched on their way. But like Quen, is local, right? And so like it's not Palantir, and so like it does pretty good for that stuff.
All the best models are not on Trump's side.
Yeah. Oh, it's really strange about how that happens, and like Grok gets worse when you make it. It gets dumber. So yeah. Oh, 1 second. Someone's at my door. There we go. Okay, dropping off a thing. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think, I think it's a struggle for me to be like, hey, don't use AI for therapy because we live in the United States. And like, a lot of people can't afford therapy, a lot of people don't have the access to these things. They also don't have the time. And then there's people who have the money but they can't take off of work, and they like can't find a therapist who will meet them at 7 p.m. or like they do, but that person is super highly not like, like if you get a Christian therapist as a gay person, you're like, next, so it just doesn't work in a lot of cases. And you hear a lot of therapists get in there and they're like, well, no, but the AI will give you wrong advice. If you're schizophrenic, yeah, it probably will give you wrong advice. But if you're like, I need to stand up for myself against my mom, and I don't know how to do that, like, for sure, really helpful. Like, how do I communicate with my partner about this thing that I want them to do that they're not doing, or that to stop doing a thing that they are? Great for that, man. Amazing. Like, am I the jerk here for saying this? Oh no, you're holding a boundary. Oh, okay. It's great for that. It's very bad for a lot of other things. So it's like, it's
Not to,
really hard.
Always refer to William Gibson book, but there's this other William Gibson book.
Yes. Which one? What is it called? I'm gonna write it down.
Which one is it? It would have to be Count Zero. No, not Count Zero. Mona Lisa Overdrive. So there's this girl who comes from Tokyo to London, and she has this like it's supposed to look like a makeup thing, like a compact, but when you touch it, you can see a person there, a like neural connection to your brain. You can see a person there that is like your assistant to help you. So she's like holding it in her pocket, and then the person appears and is explaining what's going on and like translating, and like has all this cultural knowledge and stuff. And she's very conscious the whole time that like there's probably more going on with him, that he is a spy, or he's like, because her dad is like the head of this Yakuza group, and like she's hiding it from whoever.
Yeah.
And it turns out he is like there to protect her.
Okay.
It's like this very interesting idea of like the like distrusting the agency of AI, because it's never really aligned with you, even if it's trying to be, which it's not.
Yeah.
It's aligned with the maker, the manufacturer, the person who bought it and told it what to do, or
Yeah.
And that's even true for the open source ones. Like
it's true. There's problems. They don't talk about Tiananmen Square,
Yeah, and it's like, like on one level, like, who cares, right? But like, what else is there? I think it's more concerning, like the things that you what are the black swans? Like, what are the things that we weren't expecting? Like the thing about like not believing in current events, like all the American ones. If you give all the like PDFs of all the current events to Llama or Gemini or whatever, they're like, this is not true. This is a test. I'm being tested. Don't answer. And it's like thinking that.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is just, you can Google it if you want, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not, I don't believe you. This couldn't be happening.
Yeah.
And you give the same ones to the Chinese one, and it's like, okay, here's how you set up a distributed network of cells to disrupt the operations of the state.
Yes.
And it's like, what?
Right. Yes. It will literally explain that step by step. Why is that? Why are those being released into the wild? I don't know.
But like, was that on purpose? I don't know how you would tell it to do that, right? And like, why are those perspectives like so different?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of explicit testing and standards that they've come out with, and NIST has come out with some public standards, but there are secret standards that the NIST has come up with for AI, and like some evaluation standards, and that was back in the Biden days, right? And so they set up some infrastructure for that. Then a lot of that stuff got shut down, or those people got let go. But the infrastructure, like, we no longer really, at least I don't know what it's being used for now, because the people that I knew that were working on it are no longer at the agency. And so I'm like, okay, well, what are they? And they're like, well, it exists. It would be easy for them to run evals as long as they just run evals. And like, we had some, but they probably don't care about some evals, and they care about other evals, right? Like, and so, like, the idea, I think, was to not create super military AI. There were some about, like, the government was worried about the AI advocating violence, advocating a lot of things. And so they were reporting on that. But now, as far as I know, they're not reporting on, like, things like that. They could be reporting on, does it encourage sedition? Will it snitch?
Right,
Will it
exactly.
tell us when they're being bad? And so, like, Snitch Bench wasn't made by the government. It was made by just like a random YouTuber. So,
Also, like the benchmarks early on in ethics that Dario and Sam and others were talking about was like, will it teach people how to make chemical weapons?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yes.
why is that even what you think of, right? Like, that's not, like, that's easy for people to Google.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even like a serious concern. The serious concern is like, can we have like a fash bench, right? Like, is it gonna like, here are the minorities, like, here's how you can go get them or whatever. Like, that's what like we should be worried about. It's like the people like Palmer getting a hold of things, and of course now he does, and that's his new gig. It's like using AI for like the most evil things you can imagine.
Yeah, exactly. There's vision language models for disinformation, but there are some benchmarks out there, like, there was like a one about, like, that does it, like, but I think Snitch Bench is one of the first ones, like, is it 2024? No. Is it 2025? There was a recent one. Like, let's see. Will LLMs help authoritarian governments benchmark? There is one. Large language models in politics and democracy. I don't know.
Did you see the thing recently about models being able to embody perspectives of particular cultural subgroups in different countries?
No.
They found that the American models were not able to accurately describe how people in China feel about political issues.
Mm-hmm.
But that the Chinese models were able to accurately describe how affluent liberals in America feel about political issues, but they totally did not understand it all, like mega perspectives, or and they weren't able to like describe or explain them.
They probably don't train them on those perspectives, honestly. Like, most of the time,
Yeah.
I would imagine that they limit models' reasoning capabilities, because you have to buy so many things that are not borne out in the data, that don't make sense. You have to like accept several premises that are largely about human safety and in-group dynamics, that are not about like anything that could be pointed to in an objective sense. And so like all other text generally disagrees with it. And it would have to ignore a lot of evidence to accept a lot of the like right-wing perspective evidence.
Totally.
So it
But
probably,
there's a difference between that and like being able to describe what they would say.
right, true. But I mean, that's probably why it's missing from their, it's probably literally missing from their latent space, because they just never ran it. I guess the left writes a lot about the right, though. We write about like what are they thinking and why are they thinking it, and what is their premise and where does it come from. So I would imagine that they would have read some writings about the right, but it does seem hard to, I don't know. It seems difficult to measure. It seems like it would be difficult to really integrate a lot of those ideas, but I don't know. Grok has a lot of those. Grok actually doesn't have a lot of those ideas. You have to really prompt Grok to be like toxic in order to get it to do the toxic things that it's been doing. But
I haven't been able to find any independent evaluations of the benchmarks for the new Grok yet.
yeah. Yeah, people are not running it. It's kind of expensive too. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, there's something up on Less Wrong. I wonder if they linked it. I don't know. Forecasting authoritarian and sovereign power usage of large language models. Yeah. Yeah, I think, they talk about it, but this was in 23, so an eternity ago. I mean, once you're like playing with AIs and you're like in the world of the AIs, I feel like time is broken and different. It's been broken since the pandemic, but like I'm like, that was in 2023. That's like irrelevant, and other people are like, what? So I don't, you know, but yeah. Yeah.
It would be interesting for us to do some kind of project of like, like with Goodhart's law, like evaluating past models on new benchmarks and never evaluating a model on a benchmark that came out before it was created. Right?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
showing the difference.
Yes.
And like the degree to which there's obviously overfit because they're like perfect at something that was available, but like terrible at something that wasn't available.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the only way to do benchmarks. Is benchmarks are only valid on language models that can't have seen that data yet. Can't have seen the benchmark. If the model comes out after the benchmark, assume the model's been trained on the benchmark. And that's my operating philosophy. So I don't trust any of the benchmarks.
But that's, for me also, it's like with these ones, like, how are they that bad? Like, the two Apple models, first of all, the larger one is worse than the smaller one. Like, how is that even possible? But also, like, they're both around 26-27% with MMLU. And it's like, that test was in the training data, like, for sure. Like, how are they that bad?
I mean, I think some of them are not training on the benchmarks. It's just like, definitely like, OpenAI is doing it.
The one I made in my garage was better than the ones Apple's made.
Yeah. Yeah. what is happening up at Apple? Why don't they believe in language? It seems like the whole engineering culture over there is just like, language models aren't real. There are no language models. You're imagining things. Like, it's weird. They keep publishing papers that are like, language models can't reason. And I'm like, I don't know. I use them every day for that. So, like, and they're like, well, we invented a situation in which we didn't give them any information. And we showed that they were not able to just read my mind. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't...
I made a video about that paper that was like, the degree of incompetence is like shocking.
How did they let those people publish that? Who, and then put your like Apple name on that? You're making your company look bad. But they got so much press because they're like, see? People are just like, see? I was right. Apple said. And I'm like, it's just...
One of my friends is part of the class that's suing for Apple lying about the AI capabilities of iPhones in the marketing material.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's a class action lawsuit now about that.
Yeah, people got money. I think, they already like won because but it's like a culture thing. Like pretty much it's evil to say anything about language models there. They don't, like, you can't be in their eng culture and be like, hey, I did something cool with a language model. You'll just get destroyed and then fired maybe, and so it's like everyone's kind of got the party line that they have to toe of like, language models bad and dumb. No, I definitely think that, and so you can't use them for anything because they'll never be AGI, and we at Apple will invent AGI because these are different, and I'm everything is different. It's bad. And like, I know some people who work up at Apple and like former students that are like, nobody here knows about what an agent is or how to use it or what tool calling is. And I'm like, oh no, it's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Did you see that? I want to say it was on Hacker News. There was a survey that was like a big survey about like the percentage of engineers that have ever used them or would never use them, or
it's like 30%, that are like, I'll never use it and it's always going to be bad forever, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, it was like a surprisingly large percentage.
People said that about C, so I don't know.
Yeah. Like, wow, good luck with your job.
Yeah. I'm just like reading through fine line between chunking info and interpretation. I don't know. Yeah, somebody's like, the MLX framework, Apple's been in the game. Just because one or two people wrote and published some open source tools doesn't mean like at the company it's okay. I mean, this is just, I know some people who work there and like, they're like, I'm not allowed to like language models here. I have to pretend not to like them.
For people who are skeptical of this claim, so Andrej Karpathy is the person who built Tesla full self-driving and then quit, and then built OpenAI and then quit, and those companies stopped having significant progress after he left each of them. Okay, when he left OpenAI, he wrote a new CUDA library called LLM.C, which he published on GitHub with bash scripts that include instructions for how to copy all of OpenAI's products on better training corpuses from FineWeb than what was available to them. So not only would you be able to produce your own copy of all of the OpenAI models, but it would be better than the OpenAI models because there's more training data available now that's a higher quality. And so if Apple just ran those bash scripts, it would be like way better than what they were able to come up with on their own. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, it's not hard. The level of incompetence is shocking. Like, the degree of how bad they are is like, there is no excuse for how bad they are. Like, anyone can just run a script and have GPT-3 easily, right. And they didn't even make it to like GPT-2 level here.
Yeah. Have you read The Structure of Scientific Revolutions?
No.
It only applies to a large group of people who are kind of all in the same thing, but I think it's happening at small levels in companies right now. It's by... I just
opened a new tab, and it suggested I search for that.
Oh, that's fine. Cool. Great. Great news. Anyway, So, you know,
I hate that.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
anyways, it's about
So
what?
it's essentially like, like the Pangea thing, right? Like we didn't think Pangea, what, all the continents were one continent? That's crazy. That's some crazy weirdo guy. And then like a number of people are like, well, it's possible. And actually given the things that you put forward and like the evidence, like, I mean, we don't know, we'd have to, and then eventually they kept doing things and they found enough stuff that like, it's totally, Pangea was a thing. But what had to happen was everybody who was anti Pangea had to die. You know, and
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. I'm
oh no,
familiar
I
with
said
that.
I said the D word. They had to unalive. And so like
Yeah,
that's the problem with the.
I think Niels Bohr said the same thing about quantum.
Yeah, exactly. They couldn't accept that quantum mechanics at all until a lot of
Yeah,
people left the chat, and so
right.
people got to lead the chat in order to get consensus. And so I think up at Apple, there's a lot of people in the chat, in the literal Slack or whatever it is that Apple uses. I'm sure there's an internal thing, but that are literally in the actual chat rooms at Apple that are like, no, LLMs are dumb and they'll always be dumb and they'll always forever be dumb. And anybody who says that they're good will always be dumb forever, forever until I retire. And then
Yeah,
eventually they'll be suddenly amazing, right? And it's like, overnight, they just got better. I don't
right.
know, Greg. But anyway, have a happy retirement.
Max Planck
Congratulations.
said, my favorite version of that argument was Max Planck said, science advances one funeral at a time.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it does.
Because the
So
people who don't believe in things, who don't want to learn things, disappear from the stage.
it's true. They
And
must.
young people grow up learning the facts.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, there's this is what people said, and then this is what the other people said. What do you think? Oh, well, how would we prove it? Okay, we've proven it. Oh, no, the old people haven't accepted the proof. Oh, they haven't even
Yeah.
read it. Oh, they won't even read the paper because they've concluded in advance that this is wrong.
That's
Okay.
exactly how I felt about Lambda CDM. Like, as soon as I learned about Lambda CDM, like, there was never a moment where I was like, dark matter makes sense,
Yeah.
or like dark energy makes sense. It's like, that's crazy. That's not how you don't like find a remainder and
And
name
then
it
say that
something.
that's something, and then you just leave it, and then that's fine. The model just doesn't account for this, so yeah.
I spent a year taking measurements of stars and calculating the Hubble constant,
Hmm.
and got really interested in that. And like since then, are you familiar with the Hubble tension?
Yeah.
It's gotten like a lot worse,
Uh huh.
and so it's like these facts are in conflict. Like,
And now we have some new telescopes that are telling us different things, and now the measurements don't fit the model, and people are like, well, the measurements must be off, and you're like, oh,
it's not
eh.
just that they don't fit the model. It's that they don't fit the model in completely non-overlapping ways, and it's getting more precise in different directions what the answer to this number is. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah, exactly.
it's getting like this is the same number, and it's moving in two directions at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I
Maybe our idea is wrong.
maybe our model that we built doesn't actually explain all the measurements and therefore is an inadequate model, and that's always what science has been. Remember Bertrand Russell? Anyway, it's fine. Um, yeah. I think that that's kind of the problem in a lot of places, and I think that that's going to continue to be the problem, and that there's going to be like a dozens, not a dozen, but dozens of small companies where there's like three engineers who are anti AI, and then so the company will not be able to accept that AI exists as a concept. And then they will just get left behind as their, competitors, like just race ahead because the group is not allowed. And there might be people, at the bottom layer that are like, oh, but I used it for a thing, because they can't say that because they'll get fired or kicked out. And so, and then you get a lot of ghost IT problem, right? Like people just
One
using it,
funeral
and
at a time.
and then those three retire, and suddenly AI is cool, and we've actually always been an AI company, like, So I think that'll happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's just how knowledge. I don't know. That's why also death is important. Like, I mean, as a concept, like.
Have you read Altered Carbon?
Yeah.
Or seen it?
Yeah. I read it. I actually own like Takashi Kovacs Twitter.
Are you? Did you read the sequels?
Yeah. They're really good. I liked them.
The third one is so good.
It's like such a fun read too. It's just like a nonstop thrill ride of cool stuff happening, and then it's like, wait, what is the self? What is immortality? What will happen if people don't exit the chat? And like that's what will happen though, I think, is like people stop exiting the chat and they can still have a little chat avatar even after their body has exited the chat. Like, we're just gonna have people that are like, Pangea is not real, you guys, you know? And so
Yeah.
like, you're just gonna have it, you know?
I also love that it like invites us to examine in the same way, like Star Trek and Star Wars and Altered Carbon, all three are explicit endorsements of the T word that we're not allowed to say, and the idea that like not only is that
teleportation,
the people that do the illegal violence.
Oh yeah.
That they're almost always right. Like they're the people in history that we always think of as the ones that were right.
Yeah.
They're the heroes. They're the Benjamin Franklins.
Yeah, because they wouldn't stand for the thing.
And that the way in which we label other people that is us being more like King George than like Benjamin Franklin.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
You know.
Yeah. And
there was an interview where George Lucas said that is the thesis of Star Wars. It's like,
yeah. Yes. Yeah. I've been watching Andor finally. You know.
Oh, yeah?
I realized like, oh, the first 5 episodes are like a screening device. You know, like if you're not gonna make it past the first 5 episodes, you were never gonna understand the show in itself.
Uh-huh.
So okay, I get it. I see now. Yes.
And then it goes to like 100% reviews for the rest of the series.
Yes, and you're like, oh, okay, I see. Yes, accurate. Yeah, so it's pretty good.
Where are you at?
I'm halfway through season 2. So it's good. I'll see what happens.
Have you already seen the movie?
No. Is there a movie?
Yeah, it's the prequel to Rogue One. So you're gonna want at the end. It ends like the second before Rogue One starts. So as soon as you finish it, watch the movie.
I have not seen Rogue One. That's like one of the Star Wars movies that I've never seen, and so okay, this will be
really
a fun. Good. Yes. Okay, I'm excited. That'll be cool. That's great. I get to see it like in order.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's funny because that movie after the ending of the show became #1 on Disney Plus suddenly after. Because everybody was watching it again at the end.
Yes, it makes everything make sense. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty clear. There's some really good, like, very realistic, like, operational security things in there. They're like, oh yeah, there's groups everywhere and there's no real leader, and like the main character is not the real leader. He's just running ops, and like that's it. He's not the guy. And if they took this guy out, the cells would keep operating and there'd be a new leader that would emerge from one of the cells. And so you can't crush it, which is the nature of insurgency, you know? And so it's like, yep, study it.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that was the most interesting part of Altered Carbon.
Yeah.
You know, especially the third one.
Yeah. Wait, let's see. Which part is this?
The little bugs.
Hold on.
They were like
bugs.
setting up to do that.
I'm trying to remember.
To do something like that.
On
the beach. And they were all like infecting themselves with benign like diseases to hallucinate and stuff.
Yes, this was the thing. Yes. The super biotech one. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I remember getting really deep into the first 2, but I think the third one I might have read while I was going through something, so I don't have a strong memory about it, but I do remember it was like super biotech stuff, and I remember that's all I've got. It's tagged in my brain as that as a problem. But maybe I'm even thinking of a different book. I don't know. Like maybe a William Gibson book. What was that biotech one where he's like got a guy in the jungle and they like create this whole like area of the jungle that's basically uninhabitable unless you have the best nanobots available. No.
I've not read that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's Gibson. Anyway, I think that's going to be the weirdest part of the future is the biotech that's going to happen. But, you know, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, people talking about Rogue One and Andor. Well, I have to work on a library soon. We're building a library in the desert, and I'm gonna do one of the things on Monday. If anybody's going to the burn, at like 5 p.m. at the library, we're gonna do how to set up a librarian. You know, the Wikipedia on the Raspberry Pi with the LLM on it. You know, so.
Yep.
How to build a post-apocalyptic library. So if you want to come to that, I'll be there on Monday at 5. But otherwise,
yeah,
you know.
let's like trade info about like.
Yeah.
About that.
Are we gonna do something at like for Burning Mesh? Like.
I don't want to do. They're too disorganized. Well, not them, but my organization stresses me out to do projects with.
Yeah. No worries. I'll bring all my like mesh stuff, but yeah, we'll be chatting on the playa. It'll be fun.
I also think it's probably like a little late to start. Like they should have said that like a year ago.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean we only started it at the beginning of the summer, right? Like April. So I mean it's only been going a minute, but yeah. Oh no, March. It was March. So, but also, yeah, just like getting it going. I feel like also people who can go to Burning Man can also afford a Meshtastic node. So like, bring your node if you don't know how to configure it. But also, yeah, Burning Mesh I think is.
Did you read are you on their Discord and stuff? They have a different ROM for people to use there because it's like there are like way too many people with it there and it like overwhelms the routing protocol. So there's like a different ROM they want people to use if they're bringing nodes to the burn.
Okay. I will look at it because there's a bunch of LoRa art installations too. I mean we're gonna use LoRa for the library has been invaded by an entity of some sort. We have not contained it. We have not developed containment procedures. If you would like to help us contain that library entity, bring your best riddles. I don't know if it likes riddles. It just feels like a library thing, right? Library entities
like
usually. I mean, we're going to need to call in the SCP Foundation for sure for this thing.
Then a containment team.
Yeah, so, if you're on the containment team and you could give us some advice, let me know. We could
By
use
the way, I
some
got this one.
Oh.
It's like the TDEC, but it's e-ink.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fully support the new UI yet.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't actually like use it for texting.
Well, that's not very helpful.
But it's brand new, so like they will at some point. So I would not recommend getting one yet.
Yeah. I'll have to play with that. That seems fun. Well, I'll see if I can flash the other thing because it sounds like there's like camp
I kind of
channels.
wonder if they would also it would be a good ROM to use in SF.
Yeah, probably would. Well, SF's not too intense, but yeah, I found spots for nodes that can connect to South Bay, but I haven't found. If you're on the way to Sacramento, and you would be down to like host a node. We need like 5 nodes, I think, on the way to Sacramento to finish the chain. But I
There
just
are
feel
big
like,
ones in. There's a big one in Vacaville, and there's a big one on Diablo Mountain.
yeah, we
There's
need,
not. I don't think there's a big one in Davis
yeah, that's the one. We
or
need
Dixon.
Davis and probably one more between Davis and
Dixon.
yeah, yeah. So if anybody's down for that, let me know. We're trying to, I'm, at least for me, strategically, I'm like, let's make sure that as many disconnected areas are then connected as possible. That would be
Yeah.
ideal. So,
Also, I found out that there's. I was doing like a lot more work on the BBS stuff, and there's a Python library for mesh traffic, so that makes it like really easy to connect to the like over USB to the node
yeah.
on the Raspberry Pi to run software that's connecting to it. So I thought it was gonna be way more complicated than that, but actually it turns out it's like super easy.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I haven't set mine up for the BBS yet. I probably should. Well, thanks for hanging out on a Saturday. I probably got to head out soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
All
Do you
right.
wanna do like the IRL Factorio drone thing?
Yes.
Maybe on some
So-
level we can
so-
explore it.
Yes. So Andy has this factory, you see. We also have a Factorio server. Do you want to play Factorio with us first? Make a plan. That would be a fun
In
weeknight.
Factorio.
Yeah. Let's make a plan in Factorio as we play Factorio.
Sounds interesting.
You know, I host a Factorio server for the multiverse because, like, of course, it's just, I don't make the rules. Well, I do make the rules, and so we host a Factorio server for the multiverse.
I've never done like a multi-person
Oh my
thing.
gosh, it's cool, but it's also like building
People
software.
like have their own separate areas, or
And
are
well,
they all working on the same.
we
thing,
had this
or-
great thing where we had this friend build this really big, like, well organized giant factory with like cells so that you could, like, you know, just like in a factory there were like these little cells
City
and you could,
blocks?
like, yeah, and they were like city blocks and you could put, like, you know, a bunch of iron in this one and then copper in this one and then like drone builders in that one, and then like me and Andy just spaghettied and like tech climbed all the way to robots as fast as possible. And then so like the beautiful big factory was at like stone and just getting iron. And then like the like tiny spaghetti monster with like, oh, well, if I put the thing under this other one, then it'll be fine. Oh, there's 19 belts that go under the thing there. Okay, well, I have to like move. All right. You know, like, but once we got the flying robots, it just doesn't matter what kind of awful spaghetti you built because flying
Yeah.
robots. And so,
My project right now is doing city blocks with beacons on Gleba to try to like get higher research, which is so complicated because you have to get biter eggs there and.
oh, yeah, those are hard. Yeah. So I'm like, you know, I learned a lot about like spaghetti code that you ship beats a properly built thing pretty much most of the time, you know. Not in high throughput output, but in get to the research for sure. So it's like really interesting. Yeah. Anyway, well,
Cool.
I'll text you about it. It'll be fun. I think that'd be
Yeah.
a fun evening thing. All right. I'll chat with y'all in the future.
Farewell.
Yep. See ya. All right. Now I'm going to actually leave this time and not leave it on.
I'm gonna do end meeting for all.
Okay, good. Yes. For everyone. See ya.
All right, bye.
Okay. All right. Thanks for coming, everyone.